Today's reading is by Jane E. Malden, and it is entitled Gratitude Circle. We've begun a new ritual around our dinner table in which each member of the family takes a minute or two to name what he or she has been grateful for. No matter how yucky our day has been, we try to offer our gratitude in the spirit of kindness and real thankfulness. Often, the ritual's nicest effect is to calm the troops who may be feeling a bit rowdy or punchy. That's on a good evening. Other times, well, today, said I one evening, trying to model appropriate behavior, usually a ludicrous pursuit, I am thankful for the wonderful rain we had this afternoon, which watered all the trees and grass and flowers so they can grow. Today, said daughter number 1, I am grateful for the rain and the trees and the flowers, and I'm grateful for mom and dad and sister and brother and the dog. A not-so-subtle attempt at ingratiating herself, as her sly smile implied, but spoken with heartfelt emotion nonetheless. Today, said daughter number 2, I am grateful for mom and dad and brother and the dog. A smirk. What? Dad and mom were stunned. What about your sister? Daughter number 1 immediately recognized the implications of daughter number 2's statement, which pointedly left her out. She burst into tears and ran from the table. We continue to work on gratitude circles at our house. Some of us find it hard to be thankful when we would rather be angry. Sometimes even, who like to consider myself closer to perfect than many, would rather give my husband a swift verbal kick than words of appreciation. Yet there is something sacred about our gratitude circles. Gratitude has a healing power at our table that is more tangible than forgiveness or even ice cream. We can't honestly nourish a grudge at the same time that we nourish gratitude. So we try. Daughter number 1 came back to the table and we talked about forgiveness as well as gratitude, and we wondered aloud about pain and healing in words a child might be able to fathom. And we grown-ups gave a silent sigh of gratitude for yet one more chance to do our job again and go on. Please join us and rise as you're willing and able to sing hymn number 349, We Gather Together. Now is the time in our service today when you are allowed to share your gratitudes, the things that give your life happiness and purpose. Lynn Hightower told me to mention that you can't mention this church or family, because everybody would say that, right? So you have to think of a different gratitude. I'll start with the one that she gave me to read to you. She said, tell them that I am grateful for work, paid or unpaid. Grateful for the sense of worth it brings. Grateful for the interest it adds to life. Grateful for the people it brings into my life. And grateful for the opportunity it provides me to smile. That sounds like Lynn, doesn't it? Yes. So Steve will be happy to bring the microphone to you if you would care to share a gratitude that you have in your life.
Good morning, I'm Mike Timms. I have great gratitude for the health care that I receive, but it's mildly tempered, well, maybe more than mildly, but tempered by the fact that not everyone has the opportunity to receive quality health care.
I often think about the miracles of the Bible where Jesus healed people and how it happened. How did he do that, you know? And so I've been thinking in my own personal life about healing. And this morning, I'm grateful for some healing that has happened in my life. And I think that it's still a mystery as to exactly how it happens, because I've had an accident where I hurt the side of my neck when I was in my 40s, and I've had pain and stiffness and discomfort and therapy and yoga, and I've tried just about everything, and it maintained but didn't get a whole lot better after a certain point. And then all of a sudden, this fall, it just kind of let go. Now, what is that? It's something that's beyond control. It borders on something spiritual in my mind, because who knows why it happened. But I am definitely grateful for however healing happens, and for a 72-year-old woman being able to heal a 30-year-old pain.
So I'm feeling very grateful. I feel like Dave and I are kind of on a nice oasis right now. We're getting older, and we both have health problems. He has some pretty severe health problems, but we just seem to be on this oasis where we'll still be able to grow food in the garden, and our garden was full of weeds, but we pushed the weeds aside and got in there, and I canned and froze food, and we're still able to take care of the chickens and enjoy life. So I feel like this is a nice little oasis. I know it's not gonna stay that way, but I'm really enjoying it while it's happening.
Logan here. Going off what we were saying about Christ and the miracles, I've noticed in myself that the more you let go, the better it gets. That if you cling on to your problems, they just get worse and worse till you finally let it step aside, and then all of a sudden everything comes together. Falling is letting go control. When we accept our problems, they slowly fade away, and it's that power of positivity also. But what I'm grateful for is diversity and adversity, challenges that we get above.
Yeah, well, first I have a sorrow, which is that I injured my shoulder, overstrained the muscle. And the second thing, my joy, is that I injured my shoulder and overstrained the muscle, and now I have like 2 weeks off and a lot of free time.
I have two things that I'm very thankful for. My mom is experiencing more pain. I'm not thankful for that, but what I am thankful for is that I, at my job, have been able to work it out so I spend every Friday with her. And that is such a wonderful time. And I know that I'm going to very much appreciate that down the road. And then the other thing, everybody knows McCrae joined the military against my better judgment. And of course, he has me in a panic most of the time because for some reason, probably the trauma of his childhood, he's always hypersensitive to everything going around. And so he'll call me and say, Mom, we're going to war. I'll say, and you know this how? And Mom, I'm going to get shipped to the Middle East. Okay, when's this supposed to happen? Well, he is not getting shipped to the Middle East. He is driving a forklift and loading ships in California. And I am so thankful.
This is one that I used to take for granted. I'm grateful for my eyesight, but I've been having problems lately where I have to put drops in, and I finished reading a book, and I'm grateful for my library card because it's saving me money of having to buy books. People around me must be spending a ton because you can just go in there and get all the free reading you want. So I'm glad I can still do that.
I'm grateful for humor, and when Pat's been visiting me, we have yucks about the funniest, stupidest things, and it's so fun. But I'll give a for instance that bends the rules a little bit. We passed the Wayside pulpit down the road, and it said, "Without Jesus, life would be hell." And so we made up a Wayside saying for our church, going, "Hell no!"
I'm thankful for my religious heritage. When I was reading the Unison Chalice Lighting, the gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness. Boy, that brought back to me my Quaker heritage. You know, raised in a Quaker church, and it reminded me of a picture that hung on a wall in the entryway, and it had two Indians in the picture, and kind of a cabin, a log cabin beside them. For years and years, I walked past it. Finally, I asked my mother one day, what is that picture all about? And she told me the story. She said that there was a family that lived in the wilderness in a log cabin, and they were worried about the Indians coming because they'd been burning homes around and attacking people. But they were Quakers, and so they didn't have guns. They didn't believe in fighting or whatever. So the father said, "Leave the door unlocked. We have nothing to fear." So they went to bed that night, but the mother was afraid, so she got up and locked the door, and then she couldn't sleep, so she went back and unlocked the door. And in the night, the Indians came, and they found they had no guns or whatever, nothing to be afraid of. So that they then put a feather over the door, and that's what's shown in the picture that I remember, is the Indian reaching up and putting a feather over the door of the cabin, which marked it as a cabin not to burn, because the people there were their friends. Well, man, as a little kid, you know, that really sticks in your mind, and I never forgot that story. As an adult, I found out that it was based actually on a true incident that happened in 1777 in Easton, New York. There was a Quaker church, or meeting is what they would have called it,
a Quaker meeting, and the Indians came and surrounded it. But the people spoke to them, and they came in. They saw they had no guns. There's no threat, so they left them in peace. So even though the story that I was told as a child was fiction, the heart of the story was true. It was based on a true incident. So how interesting to think about that. And I remember that as part of my heritage.
Speaks well for the Indians, doesn't it?
As you were doing the reading today, it made me think of how thankful I am that we have such a beautiful earth. I'm so thankful that and grateful for like just the crunch of the snow under your feet on a sunny winter day and beautiful hikes through woods, especially in the fall, sunrises and the sunsets. And on a lighter note, I'm thankful for the things that we kind of take for granted, all the amenities that we have as Americans. Just Uber and Lyft, if we want to get someplace. My root touch-up for my hair, I just go to the grocery store and get it. I mean, it's just so many things that we don't realize day to day. I know how grateful we are to have all these wonderful things, grocery stores, just amenities galore.
I'll give it a shot. First of all, I'm thankful to be surrounded by so many articulate and thoughtful people who express their gratitude so well, so nicely. And for the readings and the hymns today that really covered a wide range of so many things that all of us, I'm sure, are grateful for. But on the way out here, I was thinking, what would I say if I was pressed today? And so many times, and Alyssa knows how important this was to me, but camp was the best part of my childhood. I loved camp so much. And many songs and other memories come back, but one song that I've never been able to remember all the lyrics to, but came to me this morning, was the Johnny Appleseed song. Does anyone know the whole thing? I don't, but the sun and the rain and the appleseed just made me think of that this morning. There's a bunch of other stuff, but we all have stuff. Say what?
Sing it a cup here. Also thankful for 12-step programs and people who really care and try again when somebody has had lots of. Thanks.
Liz Webb, I'm grateful for kindness. In my world, kindness reflects who people are. I'm grateful for the firefighters who are working their backsides off trying to save people's homes and livelihoods in California. I think that's a great kindness. The firefighters are coming from all over the country to do that, let alone the ones who live in California. I'm grateful for the little boy that, we've probably all seen this on Facebook now. He went up to a door trick-or-treating and there was no candy left in the pan. And he reached in his bag and he put some of the candy in his bag in the pan so that the people behind him would have a treat as they came to the door. Those kinds of kindnesses make life worth living, and I'm very grateful for it.
Steve, you don't have to bring me the microphone, but I'd just like to state something I'm real thankful for. And I was struck by it this morning. I don't know if any of you watch CBS Sunday Morning. It's very good for my spirit. I watch it almost every week. But they did a special on Jeff Lynne today of the Electric Light Orchestra, and responsible for so much music and that I love in my life. And I started thinking about the musicians that have enhanced and enriched my life and many of yours, because I think we have lived through an amazing time of music. I think about, we lived during the Beatles, you know, come on, and Bob Dylan and Tom Petty and all of these people, and for me, Steely Dan, my favorite group, and it's just amazing how it has lifted me through my life. Are there any more gratitudes this morning? Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this, and I liked hearing from you, and I agree with Robin. You put it so well. Thank you.